Okay, let's wait. Okay. Will you be able to paste the link in your Facebook group or community?
Link for my Facebook group into the
community. Yeah.
Wait, I should be able to. Wait,
Okay.
let me try to go in.
Hi parents, this is John here. Give us a minute while we are trying to set up the text site, okay? And in the meantime, I think this is going to be a very exciting and relevant topic to you if your child is in P3 to 6. So in the meantime, while Jayce and I are trying to sort out some tech issue, feel free to post any question, like for example, when it comes to pertaining, let's say you find it hard to teach your kid, or you have no idea how to help your child in science, or your science finds it hard to do the OEQ questions. Jayce can?
Yeah.
Once you put the link inside, you'll be live already, because this once okay, just give me a thumbs up.
Okay, I'm still trying to see how to go about doing this.
Okay. You just try one more time. If not, it's okay. Let's not keep them waiting.
Yeah.
You can always do a watch party later on.
Yeah, I think maybe later.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll just press record. Okay, let's start. Hello, parents. This is Coach John from Learning Out of the Box, and today I have a very special guest, and he's none other than my good friend Jayce.
Hi, everybody.
Yeah. Okay, let me just do a short intro on what does Jayce do and why did I invite him to this sharing. Then before that, we also ask you a question and we'll tell you the answer at the end of the webinar. I think Jayce will know what I want to ask them. Yeah, okay, so Jayce is Germinate's principal, and he is also a PSLE Science Specialist and former experienced PSLE marker. And today he's going to cover 3 key focus areas for your child in this last sprint. So just before I pass on to you, I'm going to get the parents to guess how many children does Jayce have? Yeah, guess how many children does Jayce have? Probably I can give you a clue. If you add up the number of children that I have with the number of children that he has, is a number very close to 10. It's a number very close to 10. And I'm going to tell you the answer until the end of the sharing. It can be more than 10 or it can be slightly less than 10. Okay, Jayce, over to you.
Okay, right. Welcome, parents. Today, let me focus on my share screen first. Today, in the sharing session that we are doing, we are actually doing the PSLE science on the three key focus areas for your child in this last sprint, especially before PSLE itself. PSLE definitely is on all our parents' heart and head, because it is considered one of the stressful times of a year, or not only a year, but in your child's life, because the marks and grades that your child gets will determine the next leg into the secondary school that we are looking into. So definitely we try to focus as much as possible on what is best for our children. So let's go to our first key focus area. For the first key focus area, I would say it is always to revise the topics well. Understand, revise your topics well. So, I mean, this COVID-19 season with this circuit breaker, it is actually quite good for your child if you actually plan a timetable for them. I know it's already past the May, so-called the May holidays, but there's still time for you to plan out a daily revision timetable for your child. Not only for science, I guess for all the subjects also, because by planning out the whatever time that your child has at home, you can then help the child to make sure that the child revises through all the topics and all the concepts that are necessary. The other thing that you may want to know is to focus on which are the important concepts and the important topics. Because there are so many topics in the whole science syllabus, there are definitely those that are more important than others. So if your child has certain weaknesses in these important topics, it is more important that the child tries to revisit and tries to revise through these topics to strengthen them before it comes to the prelims or even PSLE. Okay, so this is the time really to catch up on whatever your child is weak in to make it stronger. So even for me, I do a lot of mind mapping with my students. And just now during my lesson time with my students, I did some mind mapping with them. So mind mapping, what is exactly mind mapping? Mind mapping basically helps a student to understand the concepts of a particular topic by looking at the key topic and then branching out into the subtopics and then zooming into the detailed concepts that the child is supposed to understand for a particular topic. So typically for mind map, you try to put everything in one page. You try to put everything in one page, as in one A4 size paper. And then as a student, you should be keeping all this. So you can start now. Parents, you can actually help your child to start it now. If your child has not done it, or maybe your child already has some mind maps with your tutors or even your school teachers. So the thing is to keep all these mind maps together. So it becomes like your Bible before your exam. And the best time to use this kind of your mind maps is always keep it next to you, next to your child when they are doing their papers. So if they are practicing, they can refer to it just to refresh some of their concepts, just to clarify some of the concepts, whether certain concepts are correct or wrong. And then it is also important that the child keeps this and revise through this the day before the science exam, be it for prelims or PSLE, or even those of you whose child is in P5, the same thing. These mind maps becomes very important the day before your exam, because I will always advise my students and parents, the day before your science exam, don't do any more questions. If you want, can practice some MCQ, okay. But you should keep your mind clear, focused, and just refresh through by reading all these mind maps to keep your mind fresh with all these concepts which are important to help you to answer your questions. And even the day of your exam or the day of the exam, the child can bring this to school and preparing to go into the exam hall or the classroom for the exam papers, can just flip through, read through, and just keep their mind focused. That is the important thing. So this mind mapping is not just a exercise just to do it once, but all the mind maps that your child goes through and does, always keep them and file them and keep it like your Bible, okay? Because this is really the Wu Ling Mi Ji, I would say, is really the martial arts top manual that your child must have, okay? So that's the tip that I'll always give to all my students, and I will personally go through the mind maps with them just to help them to make sure that their mind maps are correct and to get it even better. Okay. Right. Then for the second focus area, is really up to you and your child. As a parent, it would be good if you can really understand your child's weaknesses and strengths. By helping your child to understand the child's weak areas, you become like a coach for them also. As a parent, it's also good that you also become a coach in terms of helping them with their academics and knowing where they stand. Because sometimes as a student, when you go through the process of studying and doing your questions, you have certain blind spots that you can't see. And you need a coach there to be really there to help you to see really what's your weak areas. Just like many of the top athletes in all over the world, they still have their coaches to help them to see their blind spots because they themselves are the athlete. They can't zoom out of their bodies and see what are their strokes or their angles that they are doing wrongly or the methods that they're doing wrongly and then zoom back in again. No, they cannot do that. That's why the coach acts like a additional eye that actually helps the athlete to see whether they are doing something right or whether they are doing something wrongly. So as a parent, we also act like a coach for our children by helping them to understand their weak areas and also to help them to strengthen their weak areas. So one of the things about your child, how you can identify your child's weak areas is by looking at their papers. I know some of the P6s or even the other levels, you may be having some term tests this season. So it's good that you look at the test results and then from there analyze the weaknesses that the child has. So for science-wise, the two key areas to analyze is, of course, the two parts, the multiple choice questions and the open-ended questions. So if you look at your child's multiple choice questions and they are scoring like 40 marks or less, because for their full papers, they should have about 28 MCQ questions, giving a total of 56 marks. So if they're scoring like 40 marks or less, which means that they're only getting like maybe 20 questions correct or even less than that, that actually shows that your child is still quite weak in many of the concepts. And one of the ways, of course, practice on MCQ. The other thing that you need to help your child to do is to go back and revisit the topics again. Okay, and some of the concepts that your child may have maybe some misconception in. Because if the MCQ, you generally, what they are testing on is really the child's understanding on particular concepts and some application. So this is one focus area that you can help your child in this upcoming mid-year mock exam or even the term test. Then for the next group of students, if your child is doing quite well in their multiple choice, scoring 40s and maybe even in the 50s range already, then usually your second area that you should focus on is the open-ended questions. So for open-ended questions, the total marks is 44 for open-ended questions. If your child is scoring 30 marks or less, that means that your child may still have certain ways of answering the open-ended questions that is still incomplete or incorrect. So how do you know whether your child's answer is incomplete more or incorrect more? You look at the way the markers mark your child's answer. If your child's answers, you see a lot of carrots, upside down carrots, that means all the arrowheads that is appearing. That means that your child actually has part of the answer but is incomplete. So what you need to help your child to understand is what are exactly the parts that they miss out. Is it they are missing out certain things like maybe the application part of the question that they are missing out, or is it certain part of the concept that they are missing out? So that's when you zoom in and help your child to understand that for this particular question, why is there a carrot or an arrowhead? That's because that particular important part of the answer, the child actually missed out. So then you get your child to understand, so that the next time a certain similar question comes out, then the child will know that, okay, now I have to remember that I have to include this part in. Okay, so that is how you help your child to answer the open-ended questions better. So that is why I put it here. Practice on open-ended questions is important, but you must also try to understand why are some of the answers wrong. Of course, the other aspect is if your child is getting quite a lot more crosses, then you may have to go through with your child the answers, the correct answers that usually the teachers will go through after the marking of the paper. Go through with your child why the original answer that the child wrote is wrong, and why, and look at the answer key's answer to see what exactly should be written to answer the question properly. Okay, so for multiple choice question and open-ended question, these are generally the key focus areas that we have for science, because these are the two main parts. Unlike the other subjects like English, where you have composition, where you have situational writing. So in terms of the components wise, there are definitely a lot more. But for science, it's really just these two main focus areas, thankfully. Okay, right. So what is the third focus areas that we can help our child in? For the third focus area, it is actually more during the exam, the paper itself. So even in PSLE, you must get your child to remind themselves that they should not panic. We do not know what exactly is going to come out for PSLE. And in some years, the paper can be so tough that it is a killer year. By a killer year, I mean the paper is so tough that there will be many students who cannot finish the paper. There will be many students that cannot finish the paper. So why will they not finish the paper is usually because there are certain tough questions in MCQ, that snowballs, plus certain tough questions in the open-ended that will cause them to use up more time than necessary. So that by the time they come to the end of the paper, they cannot even finish because the time is up already. So don't panic, even though there may be questions that your child has not seen before. Always look at the question as you were doing the questions as per normal when you're doing the practice at home. Because once you panic, your thinking will not be clear. Your heart will be beating so fast that you cannot even settle down to write properly and look at your answers properly. So panicking is always the worst thing that should happen. So if you should really panic, then if your child should really panic, you should get your child to try to calm down. You can take a few minutes to calm down, it's okay. But the key thing is don't let your panic overwhelm you until your whole mental state goes off. Okay, so there will definitely be tough questions. Expect tough questions, because PSLE will always have questions that you have never seen before. Expect tough questions, but at the same time, you should also expect some easy questions, because they will still have some simple, straightforward questions that all students should be able to understand and answer. So tough questions can be difficult, but always come back to the science concept. Understand that for all questions, there will always be some basic science concepts that they will be testing you on. So keep calm, face the tough questions as usual, come back to what is the basic science concept that the question is testing you on, and just go ahead and answer the question as per normal. Okay, so don't panic. that is always the last thing that should happen to you. Okay, so in terms of the 3 focus areas, I guess for science, it is really just very important thing that we should always look into. And all students should try to follow all the focus areas as much as possible, and parents that be there to be the coach to help them through. Okay, so yeah, that's the really the three key focus areas, 3 takeaways that I want to share with all parents and children here for before your PSLE or even your other levels exams. If you have children in other level, the same thing should go out. Yeah, so thank you so much for this time to share my 3 key focus areas. Yeah, so John, back to you.
Okay, thanks, Jayce. Yeah, so parents, for those parents who have just joined us, about 29 of you, and today we have PSLE Science Specialist Jayce to share with us on how and what to prepare during these final sprints. And you know that this year, our primary 6 kids' study and learning have been greatly disrupted. Yeah, so this is why I've invited specialists within my circle to come out and share with you how exactly you can help your kid. Yeah, so Jayce, based on what you have just shared, I'm hearing 2 specific tools. One is on how to what to do with science MCQ and OEQ. And for parents who are not familiar with science, OEQ stands for open-ended questions. And also, you also covered tools like how to bring up marks. Yeah, so in your opinion, after having taught hundreds of kids and probably thousands, what will be some of the system, the structured way of learning science? Probably can cover like what does a child need to do when he opens up a textbook, and then what exactly should he memorize, and then what's next until the exam. I think that will be very helpful for the parents because it's all actionable step.
Okay, so I guess for this we are really looking into the 5 E's. So as a teacher trainee or all NIE trainees, before they become teacher, when they go through the NIE course, they are actually taught the pedagogy, that means the way of teaching students with the 5 E's. So the 5 E's basically it comes from 5 actionable steps that teachers can actually go through in their teaching in school to help the students to understand and know science better. Okay, so we start off with explore, explain, experience, and 2 other E's. Yeah, so yeah, I also cannot exactly remember because it is all ingrained in me already. But what happens is that it is through the hands-on that students start to do the exploration in learning science. So that's why for me, I will always advise a hands-on event, hands-on that parents can do with their children, be it at home or hands-on that teachers can do with their students in school. And there are always lots of resources that we can get, be it online or be it even in the neighborhood store. You can easily get things like balloons. You can easily get things like magnets, easily get things like small toys that you can use to explore certain principles of science together. So by doing that, so it also is very similar to what math has in terms of the pictorial the PCA method, the pictorial PCA, that is a pictorial. I also cannot remember it. So it's pictorial, then no, concrete pictorial abstract, so CPA, yeah. Concrete, so the actual doing of the math by understanding by making and doing things together. Okay, then after that, going to the picture type of the question before going to the abstract, which is the more of the words type of the question. So for science, it is quite a similar way where we do things through the exploration, then understanding it through explanation of how it happens before analyzing it to understand the key phrases of the key ways of how to actionable the parts into understanding the questions. Okay, so it is really a process and step where we can do hands-on, understand the concept, and then from there, using the concept to help children to answer the questions.
Great, great. Yeah, I think while the way to learn science and math are similar, which I also believe exactly what you said, which is to involve the parents. Yeah, but naturally, the next thing that comes to me is some parents are going to say they simply have no time. So how can children on their own learn science in a more effective manner?
So I mean, in terms of learning science on their own, then what we can do is we can look at resources. So there are always resources available. In the past, of course, most of the resources you have to get from the library, and library is still definitely a good source. You can just go to the library, go to the computer to search out certain science books or certain concepts and get your child to read the books. But I know that children, being children, they don't really have so much time during the normal school term. You can actually do more of this during the school holidays. Just going to the library one day and just borrow the books, science books that are maybe upcoming in the next year's topics that the child is going to learn. Then you can just borrow those books and the child can just read for leisure. So that actually helps the child to gain prior knowledge to certain science concepts. And by the time when they go to school and they learn the concepts, then it reinforces them rather than they don't do anything. And when they go to school, teacher teaches is the first time that they know and understand. It can be a bit overwhelming for them. So by having that prior knowledge, by reading books, it actually helps them to build up their knowledge first before they reach the learning stage in school. So other than that, of course, there are online sources. So you can easily go to YouTube's and I mean, some of the common science channels that I will always try to look for science videos are things like Discovery Channel, National Geographic for National Geographic for kids. So all these are definitely YouTube channels that will always be good for your child to go and look, and you can easily go into these channels and search for certain keywords for certain concepts that you can easily find. And other than that, you can also look for websites. So websites, some of the common websites that I also go through to look for certain science information for, so things like how things work, howthingswork.com. So they basically talk about certain things where you can really find out in detail about how certain things around you work, and you can actually learn a lot from there. So things like that, websites, YouTube videos, and of course library books. So all these are great sources. And nowadays, of course, with our handphones, there are also certain applications that can also help you to improve on your science. So maybe just to show you some of the apps that I use on my phones. So our phones also act as very good data loggers where we get certain information. And some of the common ones that I use here are like the sound sensor apps, light sensor apps that I will actually have on my phone. Because sometimes when I teach students, I don't really have data loggers that I have with me. I actually use my phone as a data logger to illustrate maybe how a light sensor works. So a light sensor works, so I will easily go to a light sensor app that I have, and then I will actually show the students what is the light level that is in a particular place. So for example, once I turn on my light sensor app, okay, so it's a bit bright here. Yeah, I can actually see the amount of light that my camera, my phone camera is actually detecting. So in my room, and that's when I will show them if I have an opaque object, maybe like a box, then I will put it over my camera, then I'll shine my light, and then I'll let them see what is the light intensity that I have on my phone to help them understand that opaque object really blocks a lot of light passing through. Almost all the light can't pass through. And then a transparent object, maybe like a piece of glass, I put over my phone camera, and then I will shine my torchlight. Then they will actually see the numbers going up very high. Then they know that, oh, glass is actually transparent and it allows a lot of light to pass through. That's why I can see my number of my light intensity as a very high number. Okay.
Yes,
so,
Jay, sorry to interrupt you. And hearing what you have said, yes, I need that app. Yeah, later can you just WhatsApp me? And the reason why I'm so agitated is yesterday, at 10 p.m. I was going through this OEQ question with my girl, and she's P4, and I'm teaching her lights. So I'm trying very hard to explain to her opaque material, transparent, translucent, and what's the closer the object is nearer to the screen. And you realize that parents who are listening, I'm actually not very good with science, so I am stumbling with my words. So I can feel you, and it's not easy to teach science, and that's why I invited Jayce up, so I can steal some of his knowledge. So Jayce, can you tell the parents how do you, what should they type in the app store to find these lights?
So usually I will be very specific because I know data loggers, they do measure a few things. So things like they measure the amount of temperature, the amount of light. Of course, our phone, we can't really measure temperature, but light definitely can, because they will actually use the cameras to sense the amount of light that is coming in. So from that, then I will try to search, usually by keying certain keywords. So I know that there are certain apps that, even certain science game apps that are also quite interesting. I know that when I was doing my master's in education, there was my professor was introducing to us this digestion app, which actually shows digestion app, which actually has this person, and the app actually zooms into the different parts of the digestive system, and you can actually feed the person's different kinds of food and see how the person actually chews the food, process the food, goes down the gullet, goes down the stomach into the small intestine, and then how the food is being digested. And my professor will always tell us that the favorite part that the students always like is when the food finally comes out through the anus. Then they'll always be very, very E and U all throughout. So other than that, nowadays science is getting more and more interesting because we also talk about augmented reality. So that is definitely the next wave that is going to come up in terms of science education, online virtual learning, and augmented reality learning. These are some of the things that students in the future, they will definitely get to see coming into their classrooms, where they not only see things in 2-dimensional, they can see things in 3-dimensional, be it virtual or augmented reality, and that they can really explore a lot more. So one of the things that I do with my P6 students is I actually let them do learn some concepts through augmented reality also, just to get them to see that the science that they are learning, it can be applied in so many ways, and it is not just a dead subject, it's a very much alive subject, and that also helps them to keep them motivated and really see how science is related to their everyday surroundings. I guess for parents also, helping your child to be motivated is really getting them into understanding how is it applied to the everyday things around them.
Mm.
Yeah. So maybe we also talk about the solar eclipse that is coming up. That is also something that can be quite interesting for students to see and learn.
Let me just quickly jump in for a while, because
Yeah.
just in case some parents do not know what is the meaning of augmented reality. Probably is I think this technology only came into existence a few years back, still pretty new, and my sense knowledge is not as good as Jayce. Yeah, so the only augmented reality one I know is the game Walking Dead. Yeah, it's a zombie
Okay.
show. Or there's one more which is Jurassic Park. Yeah, whereby you can just point your phone to a space in your house, for example, and
Yeah.
say you're sitting down there and you're watching watching the Facebook Live on your laptop. Yeah, so you just point your phone upright onto your laptop. Let's say the keyboard. Yeah, and while playing this game, Walking Dead, you can see a zombie coming towards you. Or if you're playing the Jurassic Park, you will see this dinosaur that is jumping on your keyboard. Yeah, so it's like a 3D holographic image, but it's not in the 3D space that you are in, but is in the screen itself. So it's a bit more real than just flat image.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about the so when you say augmented reality, is there a specific app that you use, or is a website?
There is a specific app, because I was actually talking. I was teaching my students about spacecraft forces.
Wow.
Then we talk about rockets and stuff.
Okay.
So then we talk about going to Mars and living on Mars. So sometimes the children get very excited and they start to discuss what if now that the spacecraft, the recent SpaceX can fly a spacecraft sending 2 astronauts to the International Space Station, and that is actually a private company. So now then the next wave is actually going to the moon to set up the moon base, and then flying to the Mars to set up the Mars base ready. So augmented the augmented reality that I have is actually a NASA spacecraft app. So we were looking at the different spacecraft that NASA have, and from the app we can actually get the information and look at the 3D images of how maybe a Mars rover looks like, and what are the different parts of the Mars rover. Why do you need this part on the rover when it's in Mars, and what is it actually doing on Mars? Yeah, but that is actually more off the academic route already lah. But it is still again for me to bring up to students to really keep them motivated and to help them to see the application of science in real life.
This is really interesting, because I think that as long as you have something interesting to share, please go ahead, because I really feel that nowadays for kids learning, their learning goes beyond a textbook. So for parents who are listening to or watching this Facebook Live right now, the reason why I bring Jayce up is also because he is a father of X number of children, and I will not say it, yeah. And he walks a talk. So whatever he's doing with his students, he actually does it with his kids. And in fact, let me just quickly share an experience about teaching and getting my middle child more interested in math. Is it okay? Yeah, okay. So in fact, my middle child is not very keen in doing math. She's okay to do math, but she doesn't really be very enthusiastic when it comes to when I say go and do your math homework. Yeah. So in fact, the turning point was when my wife actually got her to bake with her, and my middle child was in charge of doing the mix and measuring using the measuring cylinder and weighing the dough. And somehow, after that incident, she became more interested in learning and doing the math. Yeah. So what I'm trying to say here, well, Jayce is sharing something that probably you're expecting buy the latest science textbook from Popular and you'll ace your science. while that may work, but I think what I'm trying to say here is, as a parent, it's your responsibility to make science interesting for your child at home. Yeah, and having no time is an excuse, yeah, in my opinion, because that's your child anyway, yeah. And if your child doesn't do well in science, probably there are many reasons, like probably not interested or don't understand, yeah. And I think again, it's the responsibility of a parent, no matter how busy you are, to make it interesting for your child to learn science beyond the textbook. And you are living in the right time where there's so many technology advancements around you, and everything can be found, or almost everything can be found in your phone app, in your phone. Yeah. Yeah. So back to you, Jayce. I can hear many children's voices at the back. Yeah. So they'll give the parents some idea how many kids you have.
Right. So yeah, maybe another just a recent thing. I think today or yesterday.
Yes.
That parents you also can start to do. NParks actually came up with this announcement that they are going to send seeds to Singaporeans, and so you can actually apply to NParks and get them to send you some seeds for free. And it is a good experience for parents and children. You can also take this as a way to learn about the science of plants, because when you get the seeds and you try to do the planting, there are so many things that you can learn. Even you can link, and from there you can link it to the academic topics of plant, anything from plant parts and function to reproduction in plants, and then to how plants grow, and so all these and how plants germinate, how seeds germinate. So all these are definitely things that you can see in real life if you can just, and it's free, and NParks is going to send it to you for free, so you can actually apply to the NParks website and get two packs of 50 seeds each for 2 packs, and you can be growing your own tomatoes, your own vegetables, your own caicin, your own kangkong from there. And through the experience, you can also have fun, and in the end, you can actually harvest the vegetables and make yourself a meal to eat. So it is actually a good learning experience and a good bonding experience, also for parents and child at the same time.
I'm at the page right now, and in fact, I have pasted the link. Parents, you can just Google NPark seed packets, seed packets. And I'm looking at the fruited vegetables like brinjal, cucumber, lady's finger, long bean, tomato, leafy vegetables like Chinese flowering cabbage, which is called caicin, kailan, ban yam, which is Chinese spinach, kangkong, and xiao bai cai. Yeah, interesting stuff. Yeah, so just before you go to the next point, so recently I actually got seeds from our common friend, and we started to plant the I can't remember what she planted. Yeah, so it's not easy, but I think that what was interesting for me is my middle child, she's P2 this year, and she learns about germination, and she learns about germination need not need light. Correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm not a science expert here. Which is a misconception, right? Like, germination needs light, but actually it's not true. So need warmth and oxygen and water. So I think while most of us may turn to textbook or tutors to correct our misconceptions, but in fact, parents can actually easily help the child at home to grow some seeds and to learn about the concept of germination. So in your experience, Jayce, what are some of the experiences that parents can do at home, even for a primary 6 kid, even right now, like so near to PSLE? Or you can cover P5 and below. It's up to you.
I think the important thing is sometimes the parents may also have limitation in terms of understanding certain science concepts. So having going to YouTube to look for sources that can do part of the teaching is also good. So what parents can do is that if you find that your child is weak in certain concept, you can actually go to YouTube and learn about certain concepts first from the YouTube your own before sharing it with your child. Okay, so that is some way that you can actually go about doing it so that you can help your child learn together at the same time. So the videos wise is definitely a good resource because sometimes there are certain information that you can't really get on hand or at home. Of course, now that we are in the phase 2, day 1, when Science Center opens, there is also another resource that you can go to. And of course, if you join the Science Center's Facebook group, you may also have seen some of their young scientist badges. So that is also another thing that a parent and child can do together, and yet at the same time learn the science concept. Because for young scientist badge, basically for Science Center, it is a set of tasks that a child can do, and a parent can also help to guide the child through and to make records. Once the child does a certain number of tasks, they can actually send the information back to Science Center, and Science Center will actually send you a young scientist badge according to the particular card that you're.
There's like a reward system for.
All these are certain things that you can actually, yeah. So it's actually quite exciting for the kids. And I know of, and this program has been on for many, many years. And I know of friends my age, our friends our age, John, friends our age, who have actually done this activity before in their time when they were in primary school. And they will still remember that they are very excited about science because they were like doing these tasks and then finishing the task and then from getting the badges. So it is actually a very good learning experience for them, because even when the children grow up next time, they will still remember some of the things that they did. So so it's actually very good.
It's very true because as you are saying, I remember the time when I was in primary school, and I am highly encouraged to join the Yakult because I can get the free toy that came with the Yakult, as well as I can collect like up to 5 Yakult stamps and paste at the back of this magazine that I always buy. Is it called the Young Generation?
Yeah, Young Generation.
Then I'll paste at the back because the back is always the submission of quiz, and I'll mail it to collect some free gift.
Yeah.
So those are the days.
Yeah, those are the days.
Yeah, great. Yeah, and I probably after this, I think it'll be very nice for you to share more experiments, because I think it'll be helpful for parents. Yeah. So in the meantime, I also share what is actually interesting for me as a father to really understand life cycle of a mealworm. Yeah. So what happened was, remember I sent my girl to you for the P3 Science Master class last year.
Yes.
And you gave my girl 1 box of mealworms. Yeah, so about 5 of them. And again, when we brought back home, in short, my wife is not a very big fan of worms.
Understand.
Yeah. So we kept the mealworms in the toilet. Yeah. So though is common sense that mealworm will grow to become something else, right?
Yeah.
But the blah me keep on thinking that the mealworm will always be the worm state. And one day I realized that why the worm box is empty.
Empty, disappeared.
And I started to, but it didn't dawn on me until I saw many beetles in the toilets. And my kids were like, what are all these doing things? What are all these doing in the toilets? And I have no idea what are they until I look at the mealworm box and it's all empty. So later it dawned on me that actually the mealworm became a beetle.
Yeah.
So that got my kid to really understand, even my P2 kid who's not doing science, to understand life cycle. And I thought that one is a good example in how you brought theories from book into life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, definitely some of the things that we can also help is to look for things like this. So mealworms, I actually bought them from aquarium shop, because aquarium shops, they actually sell the mealworms as fish food for the fishes. Yeah, so I will always try to get mealworms, because other than that, the common life cycle organisms that the primary school students go through will be things like butterflies and grasshoppers and frogs. So I mean, nowadays in an urban city like Singapore, we don't really have easy access to many of these organisms. So in terms of butterflies, sometimes if I'm lucky, I may get some caterpillars around my plants that I have, and then that's when I can take some of them to pass to my students for them to take care until they become butterfly. And the students really like how they see the caterpillars really become a pupa, and then from pupa become an adult butterfly, and they'll be so excited to just release the adult butterfly to their neighborhood when it's time. Yeah, so it is through the learning of the science in everyday life that they really get to appreciate the learning of science.
Awesome. Yes. And let me know if this is an effective way to learn, because it just suddenly dawned on me that probably for some primary 6 kids and other kids, primary 5, 4, 3, yeah. So let's say the child doesn't understand this concept. Yeah. And instead of trying to repeat the concept 100 times and hoping that your child understood, yeah, it'll be more helpful if the parents can think of innovative ways to bring that thing to life. Like, for example, if the child doesn't know lights travel in straight lines, you can cut holes into cardboard and do it. And do it. Yeah. Will that help kids, even primary sixers, who is so pressed for time?
I mean, definitely lah, because sometimes doing the hands-on can actually cut short the time of learning, rather than rote learning, which the child memorizes but don't understand how it happens. You can just take a short while to do the hands-on with the P6 student, and you may be surprised that by doing that, it actually sticks in the mind of the child much better than just memorizing. And the child may be even easier to understand. It may be easier for the child to understand the science concept. Yeah, so it's definitely, I would say it's definitely advisable for parents to try out some hands-on. If your child really runs into a roadblock and can't seem to be able to understand or remember certain science concept, or is perfectly fine to try a hands-on with your child to look and to understand the science concept better.
Yes, yeah. And we have come to the last part of the sharing, and I think as a father who teaches my girl science, yeah, I think it'll be helpful if we parents can also know, because I recently learned that memorizing the concepts is important, but that's not the last stage, because there's still this stage of application, as well as not just writing down every single word that you have memorized, but answering the way that it addressed the question. Yeah. So I think for parents like me, who's not a science specialist, okay, I just give me a minute. Yeah. Okay, never mind. We will just continue because it stopped. On Facebook. Okay, never mind. Yeah. So what would be some of the ways that parents can learn at home to help children to answer the question?
I think in terms of answering the question, if the parent really have no other help, no other tutors, and teachers are also busy, then it is through practice and looking at the answers that are written in the assessment books or the past year papers that you can refer to see whether your child's answer is quite close to what is written in the answer key. So that is what I call a mirroring practice. So by mirroring the answer to see how close the child's answer is to the answer key, it can also help to check and make sure that there are certain parts that the child writes is also what is in the answer key. So that gives a check. Of course, not always the best, because in some science.
Okay, let's wait for Jayce to come back. Yeah, so parents, just to stress the point, this is not copying, this is mirroring. Yeah, mirroring actually means that you can model after sample answers. But of course, before you model, make sure that the sample answers are recommended.
Yeah.
Are those recommended ones. Yeah.
Jayce,
are you back?
Yeah.
Somehow, so I was just trying to summarize for them the difference between mirroring as well as copying. Yeah, copying is you copy without understanding. Mirroring means you know the components of the OEQ answers, then you mirror after how they phrase it. Yeah, but of course, before you mirror, you make sure that the ones that you are looking at are correct. Yeah, don't mirror after the wrong ones.
Yeah.
And is there anything you want to add? If not, probably you can end off with like, because you have shared so many wonderful tips. Yeah. So what would be that one tip that parents can actually use right now pertaining to helping their primary 6 kids? And I think it'll be good to put down into actionable steps, like so they can follow the flow.
I think the real important actionable steps is do the timetable for your revision. And by doing the timetable for revision, I'm not just saying just allocate a time 1 hour a day to do science. No, you need to allocate smartly by planning out the topics that your child has to learn before prelims and PSLE. So once you plan out once you have all the topics, then you start to plan out how much time the child needs to spend to revise that topic, and then do it at least 2 rounds. 2 rounds. I would say 2 rounds is sufficient. 2 rounds that means you split the time from now to prelims PSLE, and then divide it into 2 halves, such that within that 1 half of the time, your child should allocate the time to revise through all the topics from P3 to P6, of course, excluding all the common last topics. So with that, then plus the second round, so that the child has 2 rounds to be able to go through. And of course, if your child has no one to help to do mind mapping with them, you can be also there to help them. That means for every chapter that the child finishes, help the child to do out a mind map for that topic, and then compile them together. So by the end of the first round, you should have your mind maps all there already. And then when you go through the second round, there may be certain things or certain concepts that the child may want to add into the mind map, and that's when you can do a little bit more improvements into the mind map, so that by the time it comes to the end of the second round, before your prelims and PSLE, your mind map should be ready, and that will be the thing that the child can refer to as the key to really conquer the prelims and PSLE well.
Great. Yeah, so let me just explain to parents the psychology behind doing mind map. Yeah, actually, mind map is created by this trainer, Tony Buzan, and it is using a pictorial tool to summarize and to convert words into pictures. Yeah. So, and the reason is because our mind is designed in such a way that we can remember pictures better, and it's our natural instinct to remember picture. Like for example, when you first think of someone that you know, you think of the face first rather than the name. Yeah. So this is actually how our mind recall stuff. Yeah. So what Jayce is trying to share here is convert those boring words from those science textbooks into pictures to make it more interesting for your child to learn, and also less stressful for you to teach. Yeah. So and I think it's also very much on preparing to revise. Yeah. And just reading this science textbook from first to last page is not counted. You need to process, you need to change them to pictures, then you revise, then you use the mind map to revise and try to remember as many as you can, because that is what will help you to survive, or rather your child survive the PSLE science. Am I right, Jayce?
Yes, that's true, definitely.
Okay, Jayce, thanks so much for sharing. And I always have this one question that I will ask all the guests. Yeah. So right now, I guess, or I'm sure that primary sixers, they are pretty anxious because only 3 months away from PSLE or even less. Yeah. So looking back, so right now you are a science specialist and you have taught hundreds of kids, and science to use is like a walk in a park. Yeah. But to these kids, it's like it's high tension. Yeah. So if I am to invite you back to the 12-year-old Jayce, preparing to do PSLE that year, yeah. So what will you tell the 12-year-old Jayce?
I will tell him, don't sweat the small stuff. Don't sweat the small stuff.
Would you be able to tell us more?
Looking back, PSLE is actually what I consider now a small stuff.
Okay.
Yeah. So most you can ask most adults now what can they remember about their PSLE. Is almost nothing. It's almost nothing. As in they cannot remember what question that they did. You don't remember the details of what was done. So you only remember your results because your results is in your certificate. That's all. So other than that, you almost remember nothing else. But you may still remember some of your teachers teaching you about certain things. But I can tell you can never remember about your PSLE. So I will always if I can tell myself, when I was back in P6, I will tell myself, it's okay, don't sweat the small stuff, because PSLE is actually considered a small stuff. So no matter where you are, you may not do so well for PSLE because there may be family problems at home, or there could be certain thing that happened to you. So the important thing is always to pick yourself up and to continue moving forward, because you may not do so well now, you can still do much better later on. Okay, you can still do much better later on. So there are different people who can come from different backgrounds, who can do much better, maybe some who may not do so well. But whatever it is, try to move forward. Pick yourself up if you fall down. But even if you were to fall down, always try to fall forward. Yeah.
Wow, that ends off the sharing very nicely. Yes, yeah. And again, I know that parents now you are feeling the stress, yeah. And probably when we say don't sweat the small stuff, probably we may face some resistance, yeah. What we're trying to say here is we're not saying that don't study.
Yeah.
Must throw a disclaimer first. We are saying do your best. Parents, do your best to support. Yeah, do your best to support. And then you know that your kids are going to do their best, and then accept whatever grades that they have, because the journey for them down the road is still a long way. There's still a long way to go. Yeah. Okay, Cassandra, I know that you have a question. Okay, actually we come to the end of the sharing. Jayce, is it okay that you can answer a quick one?
Yeah.
From Mami Cassandra, and then we'll just end off.
Sure.
Yeah, we'll just end off. Yeah. Okay, Mami Cassandra is asking, what is a good science revision plan? Textbooks, guidebooks, school notes, exam papers, etc. Yeah. So probably can share like using 1 to 2 minutes.
I think for a concept book, I think for back in school when I was still teaching, the go-to book that all the P6 students will always want, that we will always put into the book list that the P6 students should have. It is My Pals Are Here, the PSLE Revision Guidebook. That is the orange book that you can find at major bookstores like Popular and others.
Okay.
So in the past, it was just one book. So in one book, they actually have all the topics plus all the concepts from P3 to P6.
Okay.
So with that one book, the child can also read through everything. But being a guidebook, it also has all the information that sometimes is a bit too much. But it still has all the important concepts. And what's more, they also boil out the important concepts that the child is supposed to remember. So that is the go-to book that all teachers in schools will always advise their students to get. And now the recent edition, just a few years back, they split it into the lower block and upper block. So now the newest version, they actually have the lower block, upper block, 2 books. Yeah. So then students who or parents who have children in the lower block, they can actually get the lower block book first for the P3, P4 children to go through the science topics and concepts for P3, P4. And then by the time the child go to P5, P6, then the parents can get the upper block book for the upper block topics. So that book it actually consists of all the topics and concepts that all students can actually refer to, and parents can also read through to help themselves to understand the concepts better.
Sure. And Jayce, I think you have covered what to get. Yeah. So if the parents have more questions, can I share with them your Science.sg page?
Sure, no problem.
Yeah. Okay. You can tell them what they can ask in the Science.sg page and how to find you. I will also paste a link in the comment.
Yeah. So my Facebook page is under Science.sg. So you can just go to Facebook and search for Science.sg. Then you'll be my page. Then under my page, I also have my own community where is the PSLE Parents Support Group, PSLE Parents Science Support Group. So for that, usually the parents that come in, that's because they want support in terms of answering of science questions. So that's when they will post up questions that they are not sure whether their child's answer is correct, or they need help to see to maybe write a proper answer for a particular question. Then they can post up the questions, and I will be there to help them to understand maybe the science concept or how to write a better answer in that community.
Great. Yes. The reason why Jayce is doing this because okay, now don't take me as a maths coach John Yo. Yeah, I'm a parent. I'm a dad with 3 girls, and I support my girls in science as well. Wow, not easy leh. Yeah, I see the OEQ. I see until cross-eye. Yeah, so I have to refer back to her notes. Yeah, I think notes from schools are also pretty good. Yeah, so Cassandra, if you can file your daughter's notes into a proper file as part of the PSLE revision file. It will be good as well. Yeah, and back to my story, I also need help to check if my answering is correct. Yeah, so it's not easy to be a parent nowadays. Okay, Jayce, thanks so much for being here. And as promised, okay, parents, have you learned something new in this sharing? Type in Jayce, Jayce, if you have learned one new thing that is useful for you. Type in Jayce, Jayce, if you have learned at least one thing that is useful for you. Jayce, in the meantime, would you want to pick up your baby and make her famous? Is she around you?
Make him famous, is it?
Oh, sorry, make him famous. My apologies, because there are so many kids.
Okay. I have 2 boys. So my number 2 is a boy, and of course my youngest one is also a boy.
Okay, don't tell them the answer yet.
Yeah. I just say it.
Okay, so Nadra say Jayce. Okay, if you think that you have gained a lot of value from Jayce sharing, it will be nice if you type Jayce all in caps, yeah, like capital J, capital A, YCE, with exclamation mark if you want, yeah, to show how much you have benefited from this sharing. Wow, all the children, hi. This is the second one.
No.
Sorry. Okay, no. Okay, see, I'm confused. Okay, parents. Before we started this session, we actually had a quiz for you. Yeah. So the quiz is the combined number of children. Sounds like a problem sum. Okay. Now I'm going to give you a math problem sum. Yeah. Jay's family and my family have a total of 9 kids. Yeah, have a total of 9 kids. Guess how many children does Jayce have? Is that a wife? Is that a wife in the background?
No, my eldest.
Wow, sounds like an adult. Yeah. Okay, let's see what the parents type in now. Okay, parents, now I'm going to give you a math question. The total number of children that Coach John has and Teacher Jayce has is 9. Yeah. Guess how many kids does Jayce have? Okay, Nadra said 6. Anybody else? Cassandra says 6. Rikim says 6. Yeah, because I think many of them know that I got 3 kids. So 9 minus 3, 6 lah. Yeah. So okay, before we go off, I thought since the children are online, okay, our boy on the left side on your lap, is he the youngest one?
Yeah, my boy is the youngest one.
Oh my god.
He's number 6.
Kick out of Zoom. Yeah, you're gonna like eventually. I think when all kids come in,
yeah,
I won't see your face already. Okay, so this is the youngest one. Hi.
Yeah, this is number 6. Hello.
Then the one that who just walked past. The one. Bye. Say bye now.
That's number 3.
Number 3.
No, that's number 4. Number 4.
Even
sometimes I forget the sequence. That's number 4.
So even Jayce got mixed up.
This is number 5.
Number 5.
Number 5.
Okay, hi. Ayo, your baby so cute. Ayo, going to be a TV star. Beautiful eyes. Yeah. Going to be a science expert, yeah. So any more kids joining you?
No.
Any more kids going to Zoom bomb? Yeah. Okay, great. Okay, thanks, Jayce. Really appreciate your time, and we'll catch up. Okay.
Yeah.
Hi.
Bye.
Number 3.
Number 4.
Okay, number 4. Yeah. It reminded me of a news that I watched back in China, that this family with 7 boys.
7 boys.
Or 6 boys, I can't remember, or 5 or 4 lah. Okay, so how the mother actually remember who is she shaved the number on the head.
Oh.
Yeah, so that's quite funny.
Cannot lah. I have 4 girls cannot shave.
Cannot.
I have 4 girls cannot shave.
They will hate you. They will hate you. Okay
Maybe
lah.
tie hair.
Tie hair then change ribbon now.
Yeah.
Okay lah, okay lah. Go and play with your kids lah. Bye bye. Thanks so
Bye-bye.
much. Parents, good night and take care. Yeah. Bye
Yeah.
bye.
Bye.
So cute.